donation. And so just to kind of dive into that a little bit, under normal circumstances, or under most 9 out of 10 taxpayers really take that standard deduction. They don't itemize. And generally in normal years, if you don't itemize, you can't get a charitable deduction for that donation. But so this year, in 2021, if you make a donation, you can take a tax deduction on the return that you file next year. And so it's really a great end of the year tax benefit. And a lot of people may have forgotten about it or not realized it, but this is the time to do that. And again, people who want a deduction who don't normally itemize, they make a deduction now, or they make a donation now, they can get a deduction. The deduction is $300 for individuals. It's up to $600 for married couples. But it's really a great benefit, and we're just trying to get that word out. The other point is, time really is short. Time is running out. We don't have a lot of time left in the year. There's about 10 days or so between now and December 31st at midnight. So if you want to take advantage of that, we're telling people to do it now, or you're going to lose out on the deduction. And that's a great message now, because you guys know this better than we do. Charitable organizations are under pressure because a lot of them have greater needs. And we're also hearing that giving is down. So, if you really want to help people when they need it, now's the time to do it. And for taxpayers, if you want to make an impact on the return you're going to file next year, there's really not a lot you can do at this point in the year. This is one of those things. You're trying to manage your own tax bill or your tax return. You want to take advantage of all the tax benefits you're entitled to. Now's the time to act, make that donation. And what's special is, even if you don't itemize and you just take the standard deduction, you can take a deduction for your donation. And those are our 2 main points. Just a couple of side notes here. One is, we're always telling people to watch out for scams. And scams do happen in this area. People create organizations to take advantage of people, phony organizations. Criminals do that, say that give to my organization. There's no organization. So just watch out we tell people to watch out for scams. And the other thing is, for taxpayers, keep good records. And this is where you guys can help people who make donations by giving them acknowledgement letters. So, those are my main points, which is, give now before the end of the year. Time's running out. Go ahead and do that. And always, if you ever have a question or something, there's some technical point, irs.gov, our website, is really a great resource. It has a lot of technical information on there. And so whatever you may need, or may, if you're unsure about something, check on that website, irs.gov. And so that's and please help us by sharing the news release.
Thank you so much, Robert. I noticed there's a question in the chat about what's not included. So we're talking here about gifts to public charities, but in that category, I can tell you that there are 2 exclusions. This does not, gifts to supporting organizations and to donor advised funds don't qualify for this deduction. And when we talk about cash, we're talking about cash, obviously, check, credit cards, and debit cards, but it does not include things like, donations of household goods or things like that you might be making this time of the year to the Salvation Army or Goodwill or some other charity. So those are some exclusions. I know there's a question in the chat about board dues. I'm not prepared to answer that one, Robert. I don't know if you are, but there are really good, great information, as always, on the IRS website. So
yeah, again, that website is really a great resource. I don't want to give you the wrong information, but some of those other tactical points that was just brought up are also in the news release too. So,
yep.
And just to clarify, Robert, so it's For non-itemizers, married couples filing jointly can deduct up to 600 in cash donations, and individuals up to 300 in cash.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And the
And as
provision
always-
expires at midnight on December 31. So take advantage. I mean, tell people to take advantage.
Absolutely.
And as we would always tell you, keep a record of your donations.
Yes, keep your records. You can help people by giving them acknowledgement letters. I mean, it's just such a simple message.
Mhm.
It's a change, it's a nuanced change in the law, but it really can have a big impact. And everybody's got their favorite charity. So especially in New York, I'm sure all your people here on the Zoom love the New York charities. But make whatever organization you give to, now's a great time to do it.
I want to encourage everyone to really get the word out about this. And, I know sometimes people think, oh, that's not that much money. How much difference is that going to make? Well, small gifts can make a huge amount of difference. And the other thing is we'd like to see a surge at the end of the year to prove that, tax law does matter in terms of charitable donations. I mean, we know that people give from their heart, they give from their passions, they give because they see need. But the reality is tax provisions can make a huge impact on when you give, how you give, and how much you give. And so it's wonderful to see smaller donors being recognized by this particular provision. And a reminder too that the Internal Revenue Service has done this kind of thing before. There were special provisions around Hurricane Katrina, and it's just heartwarming to know that the IRS recognizes the hardships that have been put on charities over the last 2 years because of the events that have occurred. So make use of it, because people will be tracking those end of year donations. And I can tell you that they will be tracking deductions that were made specifically in this area for $300 or $600. And the reason I'm suggesting that we want to see that data is because of a poll that Independent Sector conducted recently. And they announced on December 16th that shows that 88% of registered voters actually would like to see a universal charitable deduction made permanent and frankly increased beyond the $300 and $600 levels. So the more data we can accumulate to show how popular this is and how much of a difference it makes to our charities. And that's the important thing, that we need the charities also to participate in getting the word out, in recording the kinds of gifts that came in before December 31st, and how much of a difference it would make if we could continue this beyond 2021.
Right. And just, and that's the long term, but in the short term, it's a great financial planning tool for taxpayers. I mean, you want to do something now that it's almost instantaneous result in terms of your tax return, because it's the end of the year. So you can conceivably, file your return early sometime in January or February and see a benefit that you just, for something you just did at the end of the year. Usually people give throughout the year, I guess, or they make donations whenever it's convenient, but you always have to wait. You could wait more than a year. If you make your donation in January, you won't see it till the following April if you're getting a refund. And so now this is a situation where you make a donation now, and it really will have an immediate impact on that return that you file in early next year. So the timing is perfect.
And I will say, in response to the question about does this provision include donations via board dues, it includes individual board members making a contribution. Now, how you call them dues is a whole other story. But if Joanne made a contribution to Nikon as our board chair, that's individual giving. So, if you're calling it something different like dues or something like that, we don't have the answer to that one. But individual board members can contribute to the charity that they serve on the board of, and that counts as an individual contribution.
Our publication, 512, I believe, is a great resource and has a lot of detailed information
Wonderful.
on irs.gov. I don't have that number. I did have that publication number in front of me. I'm sorry, publication 526 is a great resource. Charitable contributions on irs.gov, and you can just Google IRS publication 526. That kind of technical questions are answered there. So it's a great resource. But again, just please, I appreciate you all coming and, you know, gathering, and Nikon, thank you for pulling this together. But really, just the big ask from us is, you see that news release, you know, circulate it to your media list and to your other, your members and whoever else you come in contact with.
Wonderful. Joanne, any final thoughts?
No, just that, you know, it benefits all of us to expand the pool of private donors. I know many of the nonprofits that work with Nikon do get public funding. We've always been concerned about shrinking public funding and whether there would be enough private philanthropy to fill that gap. I mean, the reality is private philanthropy is a small part of what makes our public charities go, but it's an incredibly important part. It's a critical part. And the more we can increase the donor pool, the better. We're all concerned about, you know, who's coming up to take the place of the baby boomers and those who came before them. And I think for a lot of younger donors, you know, this is an amount of money that makes a difference. And that's why I never say there's no amount that's too small to give. If it's in your heart to give, make that gift. And this year there's a bonus attached to it, which is you'll be paying a bit less in taxes as a result. So again, appreciation to the Internal Revenue Service, to the legislators that made this happen. But the word has to get out around the nonprofit sector. And those of you that are on the call are best equipped to do that. Use your social media, use your donor contacts, make sure people are aware that this is an option this year.
Right. I mean, the other point is, 9 out of 10 taxpayers take the standard deduction. So opening that universe to those people this year really does expand who can give. So it's really worth pointing out.
Yeah. And we have seen a shrink in the number of donors, the number of households giving since the 2017 Tax Act was passed, because the standard deduction is popular for all the right reasons. It simplifies your taxes. It's high enough to make a difference in many households. I mean, we gripe in New York because our taxes are high and our property taxes are high, but for large parts of the country, the standard deduction is quite sufficient. And unfortunately, it can lead people to forget about charitable deductions. And so this is a real opportunity to open that door again. Since 2017, because the concern in the number of households giving and the drop in that number is really concerning to those of us who work in philanthropy. It means that a tradition, a great American tradition, may not be getting carried on. So.
Thank you, Mr. Marvin. We certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it and happy to help whenever you need me. So thank you.
Wonderful. All right. We done, Joanne?
I think we're done. I don't see any.
All right. Further questions?
I don't see any more questions. Thank you all for participating. Please help us spread the word. Reach out to Nikon if we can help assist, or if you have any questions. Robert, thank you again from Nikon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Holidays to you too.